The Queen died. The empire evolved. The world changed. But somewhere across the globe, ordinary people and royalty alike still carry the blood of the woman who once ruled a quarter of the earth. In the year 1901, the longest reigning monarch in British history draws her final breath. Queen Victoria, the woman who gave her name to an age, the Empress of India, the grandmother of Europe, dies at Osborne House, on the Isle of Wight. She is 81 years old. She has ruled for 63 years, 7 months, and 2 days. She has witnessed the transformation of Britain from an agrarian society to an industrial superpower. She has seen empires rise and fall, wars begin and end, and her own family spread across the continent like wildfire. The world she leaves behind is vastly different from the one she inherited in 1837. Railways crisscross the landscape. Telegraph wires connect continents. The British Empire spans a quarter of the globe, and her bloodline, the most prolific royal dynasty in history, is everywhere. Victoria had 9 children, and buzzing, peaceful, and sadness. Her descendants married into nearly every royal house in Europe. They became kings and queens of England, Germany, Russia, Spain, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Greece, Romania, and Yugoslavia. They were the most powerful family in the world. But the 20th century would tear them apart. 2 world wars, revolutions, abdications, and the rise of democracy would transform their world. The cousins who once vacationed together would become enemies on the battlefield. The empires they ruled would crumble. The bloodlines they cherished would be scattered to the winds. But the story of Queen Victoria's bloodline is not just a story of endings. It is a story of survival, of resilience, of a family that adapted, changed, and endured. It is a story that is still being written today. Nobody was supposed to know that a single woman, born 5th in line to the throne, would become the ancestor of almost every European royal family. Nobody was supposed to witness the moment when a small, determined girl of 18 inherited an empire on the brink of change. But Victoria did not just rule, she married strategically. She and her husband, Prince Albert, understood that their children were not just heirs to the British throne, they were assets in a grand diplomatic game. The goal was peace through marriage, influence through blood, and the spread of British values across the continent. Albert, a German prince from the small duchy of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, was the architect of this grand design. He believed that by marrying their children into the royal families of Europe, they could prevent war and create a lasting peace. It was a noble ambition, but it would ultimately fail. Victoria and Albert had 9 children between 1840 and 1857. The eldest, Victoria, Princess Royal, married Prince Frederick of Prussia, uniting the British and German royal families. She was the mother of Kaiser Wilhelm II, who would become one of the most controversial figures in European history. The second, Albert Edward, would become King Edward VII, and the ancestor of the modern British royal family. He was the playboy prince who transformed the monarchy into a symbol of modern Britain. The third, Princess Alice, married into the Grand Duchy of Hesse, forging ties with Germany. She was the mother of Tsarina Alexandra of Russia, whose reliance on Rasputin would contribute to the downfall of the Romanov dynasty. The fourth, Prince Alfred, married into the Russian imperial family. His daughter Marie became Queen of Romania, and his son Alfred would die young. The fifth, Princess Helena, married into the Danish-German nobility. She was a quiet, unassuming woman who devoted herself to charitable work. The sixth, Princess Louise, married a Scottish duke. She was the most rebellious of Victoria's children, a sculptor and an artist who defied her mother's expectations.
Yes, I announced, Patrick, you've been Paris, you know. I knew the most powerful ones.
The seventh, Prince Arthur, married into the Prussian royal family. He was a career soldier who served as Governor-General of Canada. The 8th, Prince Leopold, married into the Hessian nobility. He was a hemophiliac, and his life was cut short by the disease that plagued the royal family. The 9th, Princess Beatrice, married into the Battenberg family. She was her mother's constant companion, and her daughter, Victoria Eugenie, became Queen of Spain. Victoria's grandchildren married further into the European aristocracy. Her great-grandchildren became the rulers of Europe. Her bloodline spread like wildfire across the continent. By 1901, Victoria was known as the Grandmother of Europe. She had 42 grandchildren, and many of them sat on the thrones of the world. But the family that Victoria built would not last. Within a few decades, the world would change forever. Victoria's children were not just figureheads. They were active participants in the politics of their time. They shaped the course of European history in ways that still resonate today. Albert Edward, known as Bertie to his family, became King Edward VII in 1971. He was the longest-serving heir to the throne in British history, waiting 59 years to become king. He reigned for only 9 years, but he transformed the monarchy. He was a playboy, a bon vivant, and a diplomat. His reign saw the Entente Cordiale with France and the alliance with Russia. He was the uncle of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the cousin of Tsar Nicholas II, and the father of King George V. Edward's reign marked the end of an era. The Victorian age of moral seriousness gave way to the Edwardian age of glamour and excess. But it was also a time of growing tension in Europe. The alliances that Edward forged would ultimately lead to the outbreak of World War I. His lifestyle was scandalous by Victorian standards, but he was beloved by his people. He was a symbol of the modern, outward-looking Britain that was emerging in the early 20th century. Victoria, Princess Royal, known as Vicky to her family, was perhaps the most brilliant of Victoria's children. She was educated in politics, languages, and the arts. She married Prince Frederick of Prussia, and their son, Wilhelm II, became the last Kaiser of Germany. Vicky was a liberal in a conservative court, and she clashed with her son throughout his life. She believed in democracy, constitutional monarchy, and the rule of law. Wilhelm believed in the divine right of kings and the glory of the German Empire. Their relationship was strained, and Vicky spent her final years in isolation. She died in 1901, just months after her mother, broken by the rise of militarism in Germany. Her death marked the end of an era, the dream of a liberal Germany, united by a constitutional monarchy, died with her. Vicky's letters to her mother reveal a woman of extraordinary intelligence and passion. She was a feminist, a liberal, and a visionary. But she was also a victim of the times, caught between her love for her family and her commitment to her principles. Princess Alice, Victoria's third child, was a nurse and a humanitarian. So, how is it being that the end of the time in Mother can follow? She married into the Grand Duchy of Hesse, became a beloved figure in Germany. She was the mother of Alex, who would become Tsarina Alexandra of Russia, and the grandmother of Louis Mountbatten. She died in 1878 of diphtheria, contracted while nursing her children. Her death was a devastating blow to Victoria, who had already lost her husband, Prince Albert, in 1861. Alice's daughter, Alix, would carry her legacy forward. She married Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and became the last Tsarina of Russia. Her reliance on Rasputin, the mysterious holy man who claimed to heal her son's hemophilia, would contribute to the downfall of the Romanov dynasty. Alice's death was a tragedy, but her legacy lived on through her children and grandchildren. Prince Alfred, Victoria's fourth child, was a naval officer who became Duke of Edinburgh. He married into the Russian imperial family, and his daughter, Marie, became Queen of Romania. He was a troubled man, and his marriage was unhappy. He died of throat cancer in 1900. His daughter, Marie, was one of the most remarkable women of her generation. She became Queen of Romania and was known for her intelligence, her courage, and her commitment to her people. She was a symbol of hope during the dark years of World War I. Marie was a writer, a diplomat, and a humanitarian. She worked tirelessly to improve the lives of her people, and she was beloved by the Romanian people. Her life was a testament to the resilience of Victoria's bloodline. Princess Helena, Victoria's fifth child, married into the Danish-German nobility. She was a quiet, unassuming woman who devoted herself to charitable work. She died in 1923. She was the least known of Victoria's children, but she played a crucial role in supporting the family during the turbulent years of the early 20th century. Helena was the glue that held the family together, the quiet presence that kept the family connected. She was a devoted mother, a loyal sister, and a tireless worker for charity. Princess Louise, Victoria's sixth child, was the most rebellious of Victoria's children. She was a sculptor and an artist, and she married a Scottish duke. She was the only one of Victoria's children to have no children of her own. She died in 1939. Louise was a trailblazer, a woman who refused to be constrained by the expectations of her time. She was a feminist, an artist, and a champion of the arts. She was also a devoted daughter, caring for her mother in her final years. Her life was a testament to the power of individual determination. Prince Arthur, Victoria's seventh child, was a career soldier. He served in conflicts in Africa and India, and he became Governor-General of Canada. He married into the Prussian royal family, and his daughter, Margrethe, became Queen of Sweden. He died in 1942. Arthur was a traditionalist, a soldier who believed in duty and service. He was the longest-lived of Victoria's children, surviving into the darkest days of World War II. His life was a testament to the endurance of the Victorian spirit. Prince Leopold, Victoria's eighth child, was a hemophiliac. He was Victoria's favored son, but his life was cut short by the disease that plagued the royal family. He died in 1884 at the age of 30, leaving behind two children. He was the only one of Victoria's children to die before her. Leopold's death was a devastating blow to Victoria, who had already lost her husband and her daughter, Alice. It was a reminder of the fragility of life and the curse of hemophilia that haunted the royal family. Princess Beatrice, Victoria's youngest child, was her mother's constant companion. She married into the Battenberg family, and her daughter, Victoria Eugenie, became Queen of Spain. She died in 1944. Beatrice was the most devoted of Victoria's children, sacrificing her own happiness to care for her mother. She was Victoria's confidant, her secretary, and her companion. After Victoria's death, Beatrice dedicated herself to preserving her mother's legacy. She transcribed Victoria's journals, ensuring that her mother's voice would not be forgotten. Her life was a testament to the power of love and devotion. Victoria carried a genetic mutation that would change the course of history. Hemophilia is a blood-clotting disorder that prevents wounds from healing properly. It is passed through the female line, but it affects only males. Victoria was a carrier of the disease, and she passed it on to several of her children. Prince Leopold, Victoria's eighth child, was a hemophiliac. He suffered from debilitating pain throughout his life, and he died at the age of 30 from a fall. His daughter, Princess Alice of Albany, married into the Russian royal family, and her son, Prince Frederick, also suffered from hemophilia. Leopold's life was a constant struggle against pain and illness. He was intelligent, ambitious, and determined to make a difference. but his hemophilia limited his abilities and shortened his life. He was a patron of the arts, a supporter of education, and a devoted father. His death was a tragedy that haunted the family for generations. Princess Alice, Victoria's third child, was a carrier of the disease. She passed it on to her daughter, Alix, who would become Tsarina Alexandra of Russia. Alexandra's son, Tsarevich Alexei, was a hemophiliac, and his illness would become one of the factors that led to the Russian Revolution. Alexandra's reliance on the healer Rasputin, who was able to stop the boy's bleeding, damaged the reputation of the Russian monarchy and contributed to its downfall. The tragedy of Alexei's illness and Alexandra's desperation would lead to the destruction of the Romanov dynasty. Rasputin was a mysterious figure, a peasant from Siberia who claimed to have mystical powers. He was able to stop Alexei's bleeding when doctors could not, and Alexandra believed he was a holy man sent by God. But Rasputin's influence over the royal family was deeply unpopular, and his behavior scandalized Russian society. The Romanovs' association with Rasputin would contribute to their downfall. Princess Beatrice, Victoria's youngest child, was also a carrier. She passed the disease to her son, Prince Leopold of Battenberg, who died in 1922 from complications of the disease. The hemophilia curse haunted the royal family for decades, killing 3 of Victoria's descendants and causing untold suffering. The disease also led to the downfall of 2 of the most powerful dynasties in Europe. The Russian Revolution of 1917, which led to the execution of Tsar Nicholas II and his family, was partly fueled by Alexandra's association with Rasputin, who was rumored to be her lover. The German Revolution of 1918, which led to the abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II, was part of a wider collapse of monarchies in Europe. The hemophilia curse was a genetic tragedy that changed the course of history. Today, the legacy of Queen Victoria is visible in every European monarchy. Of the 28 surviving monarchies around the world, 5 are held by direct descendants of Victoria. King Charles III of the United Kingdom is a direct descendant of Queen Victoria through his great-grandfather, King Edward VII. He carries the double legacy of Victoria, as his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was also descended from Victoria, and his father, Prince Philip, was descended from Princess Alice, Victoria's third child. Charles became king in 2022, following the death of his mother, who surpassed Victoria as the longest reigning British monarch in history. Charles's reign represents the culmination of Victoria's legacy, a modern, constitutional monarchy that has adapted to the challenges of the 21st century. He is a passionate advocate for environmentalism, architecture, and the arts. He is also a devoted father and grandfather, continuing the tradition of family that Victoria began. King Harald V of Norway is also a direct descendant of Victoria through his great-grandfather, King Edward VII. Harald's grandmother, Maud, was Edward VII's youngest daughter, and she married into the Norwegian royal family in 1896. Harald and King Charles are second cousins. Harald is a deeply respected figure in Norway, known for his commitment to his people and his dedication to the principles of constitutional monarchy. He is also a passionate sailor, having represented Norway in the Olympics. His reign has been marked by stability and prosperity. King Felipe VI of Spain has the strongest genetic link to Victoria. He is descended from Victoria on both his father's and mother's sides. His paternal grandfather was the son of Princess Victoria Eugenie, who was the daughter of Princess Beatrice, Victoria's youngest child. His mother, Queen Sophia of Spain, is descended from Victoria's eldest daughter, Princess Royal, through Kaiser Wilhelm II. Felipe's reign represents a new chapter in Spanish history, as the country grapples with the legacy of its past and the challenges of the present. He has worked tirelessly to modernize the monarchy and to heal the divisions in Spanish society. King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden is descended from Victoria twice over. His father was the grandson of Princess Margrethe of Connaught, who was the daughter of Prince Arthur, Victoria's seventh child. His mother was the granddaughter of Prince Leopold, Victoria's eighth child. Carl's parents were second cousins, and he carries a double legacy of Victoria. He is one of the longest reigning monarchs in the world, having ascended the throne in 1973. He is a popular figure in Sweden, known for his commitment to environmentalism and his dedication to his people. Queen Margrethe II of Denmark is descended from Victoria's seventh child, Prince Arthur. Her mother was the only daughter of Princess Margrethe of Connaught, making Margrethe a direct descendant of Victoria. She is also a cousin to King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden. Margrethe was the first woman to ascend the Danish throne in centuries, and her reign has been marked by cultural and social progress. She is a highly respected figure in Denmark, known for her intelligence, her artistic talents, and her dedication to her people. She is also a descendant of Victoria through her father, King Frederick IX, who was descended from Victoria's son, Prince Arthur. The 20th century was not kind to Victoria's descendants. The Russian Revolution of 1917, the fall of the German Empire in 1918, and the rise of communism and fascism led to the collapse of many of the monarchies Victoria's children had married into. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia was the first cousin of King George V of England. He and his family were executed in a basement in Yekaterinburg in 1918. The Romanov dynasty, which had ruled Russia for over 300 years, was wiped out. The execution of the Romanovs was one of the most tragic events of the 20th century, and it marked the end of an era. The Russian Revolution would transform the world, leading to the rise of communism and the Cold War. Nicholas was a gentle, family-oriented man who was not suited to rule. His wife, Alexandra, was intelligent and devoted, but she was also deeply unpopular. Their son, Alexei, was a hemophiliac, and their daughter, Anastasia, became the subject of countless rumors and legends. Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany was Victoria's grandson through her eldest daughter, Princess Royal. He abdicated in 1918 after Germany's defeat in World War I, and spent the rest of his life in exile in the Netherlands. He was the uncle of King George VII and the cousin of Tsar Nicholas II. Wilhelm's abdication marked the end of the German Empire and the beginning of the Weimar Republic. The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party would follow, leading to World War II. Wilhelm was a complex figure, a militarist who believed in the divine right of kings. His policies contributed to the outbreak of World War I, and his abdication marked the end of an era. King Constantine I of Greece, who was Victoria's great-grandson, was deposed twice during his reign. He was forced to abdicate in 1917 and again in 1922. The Greek monarchy was abolished and restored multiple times, and it was finally abolished in 1973. The Greek royal family has lived in exile since then, but they remain a symbol of the country's turbulent history. Constantine was a deeply patriotic man, but he was also a victim of the political upheavals of his time. His reign was marked by war, instability, and tragedy. King Michael I of Romania was a direct descendant of Victoria on both sides of his family. He was forced to abdicate at gunpoint in 1947 by communist forces, and spent the rest of his life in exile. Michael was the last king of Romania, and his abdication marked the end of the monarchy in Eastern Europe. He was a courageous man who defied the Nazis during World War II and stood up to the communist regime. His life was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. King Peter II of Yugoslavia was Victoria's descendant through her daughter, Princess Royal. He was deposed in 1945 after years of exile and was never able to return to Yugoslavia. The Yugoslav monarchy was abolished after World War II, and the country was transformed into a socialist federation. Peter was a young king who inherited a kingdom in turmoil. He spent most of his life in exile, never giving up hope that one day he would return to his country. His life was a testament to the enduring spirit of the royal family. Despite the collapse of many of the monarchies of Europe, Victoria's bloodline survives. Today, there are approximately 450 living descendants of Queen Victoria. They reside all over the world, from England to Australia, from America to New Zealand. They are not all royalty, and many of them are ordinary people who have no idea they carry the blood of the grandmother of Europe. Some of Victoria's descendants have made headlines in recent years. In 2025, an American woman named Angela Webb Milinkovich from Minnesota claimed to be the illegitimate great-great-granddaughter of Queen Victoria. According to historian Dr. Fern Riddell, Angela's ancestor, Mary Ann, may have been the result of Victoria's long love affair with her loyal manservant, John Brown. Angela is now seeking a DNA test to confirm her lineage and hopes to gain recognition from King Charles. She says she wants vindication for John Brown and her family. The story has captivated the public imagination, reigniting interest in Victoria's personal life and the mysteries of her family. Victoria's descendants are not just monarchs and claimants to lost thrones. They are also doctors, lawyers, artists, and ordinary citizens. They live in modest homes, work ordinary jobs, and are not royalty, but they carry the blood of a woman who once ruled a quarter of the world. They carry the legacy of a dynasty that shaped the course of history. There are also descendants of Victoria who live in obscurity, unaware of their heritage. In 2025, genealogical research continues to uncover new connections. DNA testing has made it possible to trace lineage with greater accuracy, and more people are discovering that they are descendants of the grandmother of Europe. It is a reminder that we are all connected, in ways we cannot fully understand, to the great figures of the past. There is one more layer to this story that is rarely mentioned. A detail so unexpected and yet so fitting that it feels almost like fiction. The bloodline of Queen Victoria is not just the story of royalty, it is the story of humanity. It is a reminder that we are all connected, in ways we cannot fully understand, to the great figures of the past. Whether by blood or by culture, by DNA or by legacy, we carry within us the echoes of those who came before. The question is not whether we are descended from Victoria, but whether we are willing to carry her legacy forward, whether we are willing to learn from her mistakes and her triumphs, whether we are willing to honor the memory of the woman who changed the world. Victoria's reign was a time of extraordinary change, and her legacy continues to shape the world we live in. The British Empire is gone, but the institutions she helped to build endure. The monarchy she modernized continues to serve as a symbol of stability and continuity. Her bloodline, though scattered, remains a powerful reminder of the endurance of family. Victoria's descendants are not just monarchs and claimants to lost thrones. They are also doctors, lawyers, artists, and ordinary citizens. They live in modest homes, work ordinary jobs, and are not royalty. But they carry the blood of a woman who once ruled a quarter of the world. They carry the legacy of a dynasty that shaped the course of history. There is a final, haunting element to this story, a detail that lingers in the mind long after the tale is told. The direct line of Queen Victoria is alive and well, but the world she ruled is gone. Her descendants are scattered across the globe, ruling some countries and living in obscurity in others. But the legacy of Victoria is not just about blood. It is about the values she upheld, the traditions she preserved, and the future she built. It is not the crown that matters. It is the spirit that carries it forward. Victoria's bloodline has produced some of the most remarkable figures of the modern age. From Winston Churchill to Queen Elizabeth II, from the Mountbattens to the Windsors, Victoria's descendants have shaped the course of history. They have fought in wars, built empires, and transformed the world. They have also struggled with tragedy, loss, and the burden of history, but they have endured. The story of Queen Victoria's bloodline is a story of endings, but it is also a story of beginnings, of survival, of persistence, of a family that refused to disappear. The Queen died, the empire evolved, the world changed. But somewhere across the globe, ordinary people and royalty alike still carry the blood of the woman who once ruled a quarter of the earth.